Let's practice using a conditional statement. Conditional statement is a process that involves 3 steps. First, we need to test the logical expression using if. Then, this is followed by a colon to take a decision based on the result of that expression. And then in the next line with indentation, we need to provide instructions what to do now that the expression above has been found to be true. So there are alternatives conditions that can be formulated, and you can also give a default if you have something that needs to be picked up. Let's do an example in the form of an exercise. So I'll create a markdown cell here, and I paste some text that I have prepared for that, and the text is the exercise. A student got 63% in an exam, and now the classification protocol to assess this exam is above 70% gets a distinction, between 50 and 70% a pass, and everything below 50% will be fail. And we expect the output to be in the form the student gets A, as it is written here, where result is a placeholder for whatever the outcome is given the mark that they hand in. So let's do some programming here and implement this. So we don't like to work with specific numbers, so everything is assigned to a variable. Let's define something called mark, and this mark suggested happens to be 63. Then we need to define our 2 thresholds that you can see in the text above. So the distinction threshold, just call it distinction, 70, and the pass threshold, let's call it passed, is equal to 50. I don't know if you noticed, but if I type the word pass, it's highlighted in dark green, so it's taken. It means something in Python, so we better not call our variable pass. So I use passed here. Now that we have everything defined as variables rather than specific numbers, we can go ahead and formulate our statement. If statement, and the question would now be if the mark is larger than 70%, if mark larger than, and we use the distinction. If that is the case, semicolon, new line indentation, then the result, we're supposed to call this result according to the instructions, supposed to be a distinction, and we need to put that in single quotes because it's just a text. Right, so that's the first condition. Now what else? Now if it's between 50 and 70%, we should give the student a pass. So we need to formulate it. So the second condition is elif. And we can say mark larger, say larger equal than the second threshold, which was called passed, colon, new line indentation. Then, in that case, the result should be pass. Right? Here we can use pass because it's just a combination of letters. It's not interpreted as a function or command or anything. Right, nearly finished. We just want to capture everything that's below 50. So below 50, which is not captured by mark equal, or larger than 50. So everything else, we can call that else, colon, new line indentation. And in this case, the result will be fail. Right? So everything is now implemented in code. The mark, the thresholds, the if condition, the elif, and the else. And we can start by thinking about output. So output will be print. Print goes in round parentheses. And what are we supposed to type? So we type the text, the student gets A, and text is finished, and the second argument is a variable, namely the one in the variable called result, and that variable needs to be separated from the text by comma, because we have two items in that print function. So execute the code, and we say the student gets a pass, and that's based on a mark of 63 given those thresholds. Of course, if the student had 33%, then the student gets a fail, as you can see at the bottom here. If we execute the code, the output has changed now. And if it's a very good student, maybe he made 73%, and in that case, if we execute the code, the student gets a distinction. And I bet that's what all of you will get if you practice a lot.